Welcome to the Parenting Power Podcast, supporting parents with the real-life tools they need to raise the confident, interdependent people the world needs. Gail Bell and Julie Friedman-Smith interview experts who share their knowledge to assist parents in creating a home environment where kids can thrive.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Real Life Parenting Podcast. This is Julie Friedman-Smith.
And I'm Gail Bell.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Beaner's Fun Cuts for Kids. Parenting is hard. Haircuts shouldn't be. Visit beanersfuncuts.com for a location near you. Today's guest is Liz Frazier. Liz is a certified financial planner who decided to go into financial planning after the birth of her first child because, like so many other new parents, she realized the overwhelming need to make sure her family was financially prepared and protected. Liz is also the author of the book Beyond Piggy Banks and Lemonade Stands, How to Teach Young Kids About Finance, and They're Never Too Young. We are so excited that Liz has joined us here today. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on your show.
Liz, can you tell us a bit about your book and why you decided to write it?
Well, of course, I could talk about this all day, but I'm a fee-only financial planner, and as a financial planner and seeing clients and being in the field, I've seen how important understanding finance is. Money touches every part of our lives, and just having a basic knowledge of some of the core concepts around finance can make a huge difference in someone's life. But I also see, on the other hand, that most people are really uncomfortable with finance, and it's understandable why. Finance isn't taught in schools. It's really not taught at home. So we all turn 18, and we're just thrown out into this world of student loans and credit cards and bills, and we don't know what we're doing. So we're just learning as we go. So I decided to write this book for parents of elementary school kids, and it teaches parents how to teach their kids finance. And I wrote it for starting in the elementary age because I think it's really important to start as early as possible because it's like any other life skill, learning proper nutrition and safety and things like that. You really need to start at an early age to start building the foundation so they're comfortable with it later in life. All of that being said, this is a book written for parents of young kids. I am a parent of young children, and I understand how insanely busy parents are. We're not only parents, some of us have jobs outside the home. We're part-time cooks and chauffeurs and cleaners, and we're trying to be good spouses and exercise every once in a while. So nobody has time for a finance couple. So it was really important to me to write this with that in mind and make sure that it's simple to understand, it's relatable, it's filled with really quick and fun and easy activities and games and talking points. And most important, it incorporates things that they're already doing in their real life because I don't want to add anything to parents' busy, full plate.
You absolutely get your demographic. You know who's reading this. You're living the life, and you've really tailored it to that audience for sure. Liz, can you share with our listeners the top 2 or 3 steps that you feel parents need to teach their children about finances?
Of course, there are a couple things that you can start doing now and incorporate into your daily life to get kids started on the right track with finance. The first one is really easy, and it's just talk about money in your household. We talk to our kids about nutrition and safety, and we start talking to them at a really early age about important subjects, but money is somehow still a taboo subject in families. People think it's either rude to talk about or, again, they're just not that comfortable with the subject. But this should be a frequent conversation, an everyday conversation in families. So talk to your kids about things that you're saving for, or talk to them about maybe why you didn't buy something because it's not a part of your monthly budget. Just having these conversations with kids normalizes money, and it makes kids more comfortable with the financial concepts as they get older. A second tip is to give your child an allowance, and this is such a hot debate among parents, but giving your child an allowance gives them the huge benefit of actually having money to practice money management skills. And this is at a time when they can make mistakes and there's no real consequences. So they can practice responsible spending and they can practice how to save money. And that leads to a third tip, which is every time that your kids get money, whether it's through an allowance or maybe they're doing odd jobs around the house or even gift money. Have them split it between a save jar, a spend jar, and a share jar. And it doesn't matter how much you put in each jar, but what you're trying to do is show children, first of all, that they can't spend everything that they get, and it's really important to start saving and giving. But it also teaches them the habit of this. So as they get older, they bring that habit into adulthood, and automatically when they get that first check from their first job, they have in their head, oh, I've got to put some of this money aside. And that's something that every adult wishes that they had learned as a child, so that they started saving money before they actually started saving for retirement or anything like that.
Those are what we would call real life tips. They're so helpful for parents to hear. And again, takes a bit of that anxiety around finances, like what do I do? And I'm hearing they could even just start with one or two. So Liz, that is super helpful for our kids. And I love that you keep reminding us that it's like anything else. It gets the children into a routine and thinking about this is what we do all the time. So we know that routines help kids and the consistency of it, whether it's sleep or homework or chores or learning about finances. So those 3 tips are very good. Now, Liz, we always like to ask our guests to share a real-life parenting tool that they've used in their own families. Do you have one that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, that's such a great question. I think one of the biggest ones in our house is that we let our kids make their own decisions. And obviously this is within reason. So if my child decided to go play in, busy traffic, then I wouldn't let them make that decision. But when it comes to smaller things, like it's 50 degrees and they don't want to wear their coat, or maybe they don't want to participate in a school activity, and especially along the lines of money, what they spend their allowance on, I let them make these decisions. I think that it's really beneficial for kids, and it keeps them accountable, and they're engaged and involved in their life, and they learn from their decisions at a time when there's just no real lasting consequences. And it's really a win-win, because if they make a good decision, then they're really proud of themselves, and it gives them an extra boost of confidence going forward. And if they make a bad decision, then they feel the effects of that mistake, and maybe they'll learn from it and make a better choice the next time.
That sounds just part and parcel with your whole philosophy that you shared with us earlier about teaching our kids and really giving them the opportunity to experience it. Gail and I often talk at Parenting Power about we give kids books in order to get them reading, and we give them manipulatives in order to learn about counting, or blocks to learn about building, and they need to have an allowance to learn about, exactly as you talked about, saving and spending and sharing. And when we're all talking about money in a way that's planned, then it gives us a vocabulary to use so that when things aren't maybe going according to plan, it doesn't sound panicky. I go back to your first tip about talking to our kids about money, and oftentimes kids can get really scared if parents' reason for not buying something is because we don't have the money. And suddenly that becomes, well, do we have the money for food? Do we have the money to exist? And so I love this idea that when we're talking every day about a budget and what we're choosing to spend our money on and what we're not choosing to spend our money on, then it becomes, as Gail said, routine, part of the everyday routine. And our kids know that it's not about fear, it's just about following the plan. And you having your kids make choices and learning from their consequences is really all about that as well.
I was just thinking about this as you were talking. You had a really great point about getting your kids involved and engaged in the activities. And I think that's so true when it comes to something like finance, because as everybody knows, finance can be a really boring and dry subject. And if you sit your kids down and say, so today, 7-year-old daughter, we're going to talk to you about finance for an hour. Within about 4 minutes, you and your kids' eyes are just going to glaze over. So I think the more that you can get them involved and engaged, and like we talked about before, making their own decisions and practicing with real money, the better that they're going to really understand the topic and it becomes more relatable to them. So I think that that's really just an important aspect of teaching anything.
Absolutely. So thank you today for sharing your thoughts about how we support our kids in learning about money and how we can feel slightly less anxious about it as parents. That's so important. If listeners want to find out more information from you, what is the best place for them to go to?
Right now, my book, Beyond Piggy Banks and Lemonade Stands, is available for pre-order on Amazon. And they can also follow me on Twitter at Liz Frazier Peck.
Great. And we'll put those links along with the podcast. Thank you so much for talking with us today, Liz.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for giving such support to parents.
Thanks, Liz.
To learn more about Parenting Power, check out our website, parentingpower.ca, visit our Facebook page, or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Parenting Power.